What's up, YouTube? Demonic Midwinter back with another video. Today I'll be doing something a little different. This video will be about 20 albums from my teens or early childhood. So I'm gonna get started right away, but I'm gonna get started with something I was introduced to as probably a 1-year-old, or probably not even born, because both my parents are major fans of this band or this guy's band. You have Garcia band with Theater 1832, July 29th and 30th, 1977. This is actually my dad's copy. It's a 3-disc album, live album of Jerry Garcia band. My parents are major Deadheads and diehard Jerry fans. They got to see him countless times. My first ever show was The Dead in 2003, I believe it was. Yeah, 2003, when I was like 4.5, I think, something like that. But this got me into music when I was first starting, however many years ago that was, Jesus Christ. But yeah, no, Jerry Garcia, The Dead and Company, I've seen Dead and Company 3 or 4 times now, and I can't wait to see them again. Definitely check these guys out if you've never jammed them. Next up, hold on, if I can get it. Rush, Moving Pictures. So, my dad got me into, like I said, my dad got me into a lot of the classic rock that I jam now. Such as Rush, with Moving Pictures. My dad's also a huge Rush fan. My only complaint with Rush is Geddy Lee's voice. I love it, but I can't listen to it for too long. But, yeah, I love Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson, Neil Peart, rest in power. But Rush, like songs like Tom Sawyer, Red Bar Shadow, Limelight, those songs got me into these guys. However many years ago that was, I can't even remember now, but a long time ago. Next up, Van Halen with Van Halen. So this was something one of my best friends got me into, because he knew Eddie Van Halen and his family. I've been friends with this guy my buddy Brandon for, let me think, 12 years now, 12, 13 years now, something like that. Well, still one of my best friends. Haven't spoken to him in a while, but definitely check it out. Brandon, if you're watching this, shout out to you, brother. Love you, man. Next up is something a little heavier. We got AC/DC with Back in Black. This my dad had told me about when I was very young, because his brother, my uncle, used to jam this and scare the shit out of my dad when this first came out. But AC/DC got me into the heavier stuff, or slightly heavier stuff. Like, made my taste progress into like the next couple albums, which I'll get into in a little bit. But yeah, songs like Hell's Bells, Shoot to Thrill, Giving the Dog a Bone, Back in Black, Have a Drink on Me. This entire album is a classic to me. Like, it's insanely good. It's one of my favorites of all time. Next up, Black Sabbath, Paranoid. I mean, if Black Sabbath didn't get you into metal, or Ozzy didn't get you into metal, along with a couple of the other bands I have in this, yeah, I mean, you don't know metal. I mean, it's Sabbath. Like, this is in my opinion, their best album. War Pigs, Paranoid, Iron Man, Hand of Doom, Fairies Wear Boots. Like, I've seen all those songs countless times, some like 4 times, I think, maybe even more with some of them. But Sabbath will always be one of my all-time favorite bands to jam. I could jam them all day, every day, easily. I might even do that, probably. I will probably do that the next couple of days. Next up is a reissue of a Dio album, or a Dio live album, I should say, with Evil or Divine, sorry. This is the reissue that came out this year, but I've been a Dio fan since I was a kid. One of my buddies from elementary school, his father played with Dio in Dio. I forgot the albums he was on, but yeah, Vinny, if you're watching this, shout out to you as well, brother. Miss you, man. We gotta keep in touch more. But yeah, Dio, songs like Children of the Sea, Stand Up and Shout, Don't Talk to Strangers, Man on the Silver Mountain, Holy Diver, Heaven and Hell, Last in Line, Rainbow in the Dark, and We Rock, like classic metal songs that I love. Also, Murray, the mascot, is a beautiful specimen of a mascot, in my opinion. So next up, I might get some hate for this, but I don't give a fuck. Disturbed, down with, or The Sickness, I should say. Sorry. I've been a Disturbed fan since the beginning of my metal journey. David Draymond to me has an incredible voice. More so when he's not singing metal, though. Check up when they played in Israel and a couple years ago, I think it was. They did the national anthem, or he did the national anthem, and it was the most beautiful thing I've ever heard in my life. But he could still sing metal like nobody else, in my opinion. Like, one of the greatest metal vocalists, in my opinion. Definitely, if you've never jammed Disturbed, which, I mean, who knows, obviously, I don't know, or I won't judge if you do have, obviously, because I love them. But check this album out if you haven't. It's new metal, but still, it's great new metal. Next up, a classic album for me. I just bought an oversized patch for my vest for this band. We have Iron Maiden with Power Slave. This is actually a used copy I found at my local record store. My favorite Maiden album of all time. Aces High, 2 Minutes to Midnight, Power Slave, Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. This is easily my favorite album from them. I can't wait to see these guys in concert, which will hopefully come soon. So I can rock my Maiden vest and go absolutely, just rock out the entire show. Next up is not my favorite Metallica album, but was the first one that I jammed from them. We have And Justice for All. I mean, no Metallica, in my opinion, before the Metallica went downhill after the Black Album. I liked the Black Album, but everything after that, up until Death Magnetic, was garbage. But Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, and Justice for All, classic albums. I mean, my favorite is Ride the Lightning, but And Justice for All was what got me into them, I think. I could be wrong, but Blackened, And Justice for All, One, Harvard Surf Sorrow, I think was actually the first track I ever jammed from them. Some of my all-time favorite tracks are on this album. The bass is mediocre at best, but whatever. Or the bass in the mix needs to be brought up, but whatever. I mean, nothing I could do about it. But fantastic release from them. Next up is another release that got me into metal, obviously. Ozzy with No More Tears. I picked this up a couple weeks ago or a month ago. I don't remember exactly. But again, it's Ozzy. How could you not love this album? No more tracks like No More Tears, Mama, I'm Coming Home. I Don't Want to Change the World. Mr. Tinkertrain. Sorry, it's like a circle on the back, so it's hard to read all of them. But yeah, I love this album. It's not my favorite Ozzy album, but still one of my all-time favorites. I love Ozzy. Ozzy is one of my all-time favorite musicians, and I would love to see him again in concert. Next up is we're going a tiny bit heavier now. We have my favorite album by this band, and probably maybe not my favorite, but one of my favorites from this band. We have Slayer, Rain and Blood, one of my all-time favorite releases by any band. My favorite release from them might be South of Heaven, but I'm not entirely sure. But this entire album just whoops ass. Angel of Death, Necrophobic, Jesus Saves, Epidemic, Postmortem, Raining Blood. I love this album. I've seen them play a lot of stuff off of this over the 4 or 5 shows I saw them play. I don't remember exactly now, but whatever. But fantastic release from them, obviously, as you probably all know. Next up is a release that was an album that you may or may not think I would actually jam because of all the other obscure shit that I jam. But this is my favorite band of all time, and the album that got me into them. You have, I'm going to take it out of the slipcase, but I can show you the slipcase. We have Sabaton with Heroes. This is the History Channel edition, because I am a Patreon of theirs. But this album got me into them. Night Witches, Inmate 4859, To Hell and Back, which is overplayed with all hell. They need to stop playing that live. I'm sorry. It's a great track, but they need to stop playing it. My personal favorite track off this album, Soldier of Three Armies, which needs to be played live more. I mean, this album is almost a near perfect album. I mean, in my opinion, all of their albums, except for Metalizer, are near perfect. But that's just me. Yeah, Sabaton, one of my all-time favorite bands. I've seen them 4 times. Once in Poughkeepsie, twice in Silver Spring, Maryland, and once in New York City. And all 4 times killed it. I was supposed to see them with Judas Priest, but Richie Faulkner obviously had to have heart surgery, so that tour had to get postponed. But hopefully when they come back, I'll get to see them. And I probably will, because I'm not missing that tour. But anyways, check this album out if you've never jammed it. And give Sabaton a chance. Come on, they're not bad. They're really fucking good, actually. Next up is actually probably one of the first death metal albums I ever got into. One of my all-time favorite albums, like, ever. This album put me onto death metal and death doom. You have Salem with Kaddish. This entire album is, like, near perfect. So if you don't know these guys, they are an Israeli gothic black and death doom act. They are one of the first Israeli bands ever. I love this album, one of my all-time favorites, and I would love to see some songs live off of this album. Mainly, I Smash the Soul, Kaddish, Hayre Boeret. I'm probably butchering that because it's in Hebrew, because I can't read Hebrew worth of shit. Edge of the Void. And this entire album is near perfect. Such a killer release from them. And if you've ever checked them out, definitely do so. They're extremely underrated and probably not well known in the US. Next up, you have another death metal band that got me into death metal. You have Vader with De Profundis. I mean, I haven't jammed this album in forever because, I mean, I just picked it up, really. I literally, this is the reissue from this year. But it's a fantastic release. I gotta jam it at some point in the near future. But it's a fantastic album. Not my favorite Vader album. My favorite would, oh god, that's so tough. My favorite would probably be Tibi et Igni, because that's what got me into them. Songs like Go to Hell and Triumph of Death, which I still need to pick up a copy of that album. But fantastic. This is their best album ever. But, like, to most people, but not my favorite, but still fantastic. Next up, I saw these next 2 bands, I should say, on tour together. And I will be in May when they come back, because they just postponed this tour, but whatever. But I saw both these bands on these 2 albums. To start off, we have Testament, Dark Roots of Earth. Was it this one? No, it was, no, maybe it was this one. I don't remember. I saw them in 2015, I believe. Yeah, 2015. Oh my god, wow, that sounds like so long ago. But yeah, 6 years ago, I saw these guys, and I think it was for this tour. I don't remember, but this is the album that introduced me to Testament. Rise Up, Native Blood, Dark Roots of Earth, True American Hate is probably my favorite track off this album. I think I don't remember if it was this album, but I saw them in 2015. Could have been this album, but this is what introduced me to them. Next up, we have the one I know they were touring for on this album. You have Exodus, Blood In, Blood Out. I mean, this album got me into Exodus. We have tracks like Collateral Damage, Salt the Wound, Body Harvest. My personal favorite, BTK, mainly because I used to be very fascinated with serial killers and cold cases. I still am. I love these. I love Exodus. I can't wait for the new album to drop. I don't remember when that drops off the top of my head. I know I have the CD pre-ordered and a shirt, I believe. Yeah, but fantastic release from Exodus. I love these guys. And if you don't know Exodus, check them the fuck out. You should really know Exodus. Start with Bonded by Blood, the greatest Exodus album of all time, which I still need a copy of. Next up, getting into some heavier stuff. Some sort of heavier stuff, but we have my favorite Sepultura album with Arise. This is a near perfect album to me. Arise, my favorite track, Desperate Cry, Infected Voice. The cover of Orgasmatron is incredible too. I love this album. One of my favorite albums of all time. I can't wait to see Sepultura live next year. Hopefully, and I'm almost positive they'll be playing stuff off of it. But yeah, one of my favorite albums from them. Next up, we have a Suffocation live album. And so Suffocations are locals to me. They're from about a half hour from me or so. But I love Suffocation. Like, this is their live album, the close of a chapter, live in Quebec City. I mean, one of my favorite bands, death metal bands, or brutal death metal bands ever. But, oh, such a great album. I have seen them once, and it was without Frank, because I never got to see them with Frank, sadly, before he left the band. But I did meet Charlie Arago at the show. If you're watching this, Charlie, hopefully we get to meet up again soon. Great live album. Haven't jammed in a while, but yeah, great stuff. Next up is not my favorite album from this band, but I don't have a copy of that album for whatever damn reason. But you have Death with Scream Bloody Gore. I mean, all Death albums are good, in my opinion. And if you don't think so, whatever. I mean, you don't know anything about death metal. Death are the founders of death metal. But tracks like Infernal Death, Baptized in Blood, Evil Dead Scream Bloody Gore. I mean, and this is the reissue with a second disc, which has session tracks and rehearsal tracks. So I love Death, and if you don't love Death, yeah, no, get off this channel and go check them out more, because yeah, they're amazing. One of the all-time greatest death metal bands ever. And finally, to close out this video, we have a band who is so near and dear to my heart. I never got to see them live, though. They got another band that got me into death metal when I was first getting into it, which was freshman or sophomore year of high school. But we have Children of Bodom with I Worship Chaos. I believe it was this album that got me into them. It was either this or Follow the Reaper. I don't have Follow the Reaper, so I'm going with this. But tracks like My Bodom, Morrigan got me into this album for sure. No, that's what got me into them for sure. Prayer for the Afflicted, I Worship Chaos, Suicide Bomber, Viddershins, and the bonus track, Danger Zone. Oh my god. Such a fantastic release from them. Rest in peace, Alexi. You're missed by many. So that's it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Be talking about the albums that got me into metal during my teen years. But if you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and stay metal.